Today we are celebrating the fact that ETP, or the Economic Transformation Program, turns 3.
This is one of the avenues where people will know where the government is heading and what kind of plans they have.
I think they've been very progressive.
The whole approach of the ETP, the way it tries to hold the different ministries accountable for reaching their targets, providing that push and drive for reforming the economy, I think that's really the whole basis of it.
ETP turns 3, happy birthday, definitely very exciting.
And before we begin, let's show you the ETP journey visually as we conclude 2013 and commemorate the ETP over the last 3 years today. Ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia's journey for the last 3 years. Good afternoon, Yang Amat Berhormat Dato Sri Mohd Najib Tun Razak, the Prime Minister of Malaysia. Yang Berhormat Dato Sri Mustapa bin Mohamed, Minister of International Trade and Industry. Yang Berhormat Senator Dato Sri Idris Jala, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department. Yang Berhormat Dato Sri Abdul Wahid Omar, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department. Yang Berhormat Dato Sri Dr. S. Subramaniam, Minister of Health. Yang Berhormat Dato Sri Ahmad Shabery, Minister of Communication and Multimedia. Tan Sri, Dato, distinguished guests, members of media, ladies and gentlemen. As we conclude 2013 and the ETP's journey over the last 3 years, we will share with you updates on the country's macroeconomic environment, investment figures, and snapshots of the growth and challenges of industries and policies over the last 3 years. Without further ado, it gives me great honor to welcome Yang Amat Berhormat Dato Sri Mohd Najib Tun Razak, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, to address us this afternoon.
Our overall KPI results for NKEAs are on track, with 89% achieved on average, while the strategic reform initiatives recorded 85% of KPI achieved. This demonstrates that both projects and initiatives are tracking well, and I am confident of meeting our targets this year. The NKEAs continue to play a significant role in the national economy, contributing 68.3% of total GNI for the first 9 months of this year, or 474 billion ringgit. The NKEAs have also contributed to employment, with 1.3 million in new employments recorded from 2010 to 2013 year to date. Currently, total employment sits at 13.66 million. While our committed investment figures are optimistic, the real challenge is realizing these investments. It is heartening to see that 69% of the amount committed for 2013 has been realized as of the third quarter. The NKEAs are on target to mirror the achievements of the previous 2 years. As we conclude 2013 and take stock of the 3 years of the country's economic transformation, I'm happy to announce that 195 projects have been launched under the NKEA since 2010. Their total committed investments of 220 billion ringgit are projected to contribute 144 billion ringgit to GNI, create 435,000 new jobs, and generate a knock-on effect that will catalyze the larger universe of economic activity in the country. The global outlook continues to be uncertain as developed markets grapple with their challenges. Despite this, Malaysia is targeted to achieve between 5 to 5.5% GDP growth for 2014, with private investment expected to grow 12.7% to 153 billion ringgit. For 2014, Malaysia will see exciting developments in the pipeline in support of our pursuit to become the center for global operation, services, and trading. We have set our sights on attracting 13 large multinationals to base their operations here in Kuala Lumpur. 6 international trading companies with a projected minimum total turnover of $600 billion, will potentially establish their trading operations in the country. In the financial markets, we're set to see an increased value in new listings with a targeted market capitalization of 18 billion ringgit. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to see all of you here representing the business and investment community. We welcome your continued support as we move into 2014. It is my wish that everyone, rich or poor, rural or urban, regardless of race, can participate in a journey to transform the economy and take the country to high income.
You're, of course, the newest member of the fraternity, and all of us want to know, outside looking in, a corporate figure, we know what you're about. What what are your thoughts on these ambitious goals? Are we a country in a hurry? What's it like in there, now that you're in there?
Well, thank you, Zaleha. When I was out there back in 2010, when the Prime Minister unveiled the new economic model for Malaysia to achieve the high income, or rather advanced nation status with high income, inclusive and sustainable, I was fully bought into that because it was very clear in terms of the target and in terms of the 3 pillars. Now, high income, that's already been explained. Inclusive, meaning that no one will be left behind from this development, whether in terms of gender, urban-rural divide, ethnicity, and age, for example. And sustainable, not just from an environmental perspective, but also from the way we manage our natural resources, as well as in the way we in the government manage our government finances. So I guess I bought into that. So when I was given the opportunity to come into government 6 months ago, I thought that that's something that I could contribute and provide the private sector perspective into government and help drive the entire agenda, working together with my colleagues. And I think it's been a very interesting 6 months. And I could see that the numbers are there, they're for real. And as we speak, we're actually seeing the numbers progressing.
Bear in mind that today, everything is connected to internet. We need internet. You talk about in education, you talk about in health, transportation, e-government, and so on. That means how we measure the progress and competitiveness level of the government is how good is our broadband infrastructure. We are, indeed, we are quite proud. We talk about our household penetration today is about 67%, 3G coverage in the populated area about 84%. We talk about mobile penetration about 142%, if I'm not mistaken, about means every single person in the country, they have more than 2, 1.5 mobile device that we have. But of course, when you talk about the Internet of Things today, it's not only in terms of coverage and penetration, it's more than that. We talk about speed. People were complaining in the hall today that, well, more people today, we cannot WhatsApp, we cannot do internet, trying to Google things and so on. These are the issues that we have to address. We talk about forecasting in terms of data demand. Right now we have about 3 to 4% average speed, 3 to 4 megabits of our average speed. We are not very happy with that because you talk about Internet of Things, it's not only in terms of usage, but everything is connected to internet. Your camera, you talk about your CCTV, your refrigerator, you go to the gym, for instance, your treadmills, all connected into internet. Then we talk about data demand. The ASEAN studies said that by 2018, Malaysia needs something around 49 megabit per second. Now we talk about, we are having about 10 megabit per second. That's a big challenge.
Creating jobs, very important. No doubt in my mind that if we don't create enough high-paying jobs, we cannot share the wealth equitably to the populace. So that's when we pegged 3.3 million high-paying jobs that we needed to be created. That's really to do that. Now, if you are in a situation where you have more jobs and you have less people to fill them, that's a good problem to have. Because I always believe that if you have more jobs than people to fill them, you can always look for people from outside the country to fill them. And because to me, creating jobs, people create value. And so there is scope always for making sure that you have a good mixture of local Malaysians and also foreign talents that come in to produce products and services for Malaysia that will be able to win it in a competitive market. So for us, those are very important. Let me also mention though, the Prime Minister has announced that we must push the women agenda very hard. 50% or a little more than 50% of the graduates are women today. Unfortunately, when they come and join the workforce, then eventually, naturally, when they get into childbearing age, many of them leave, but they don't actually always come back to the workforce. So that's why under Talent Corp, we are trying very hard to say, if we create much more flexible hours, much more flexible ways of working, part-timing, and et cetera, and if we can increase the number of women coming into the workforce, we have enough supply. Men and women, we will have enough supply to fill them. So that's why it's a very important agenda to make sure that we must win it on the diversity angle, bringing more women into the workforce. I think if we get more women to come in to work in the workforce with much more flexible arrangement, then I think we will have enough supply.
The biggest challenge, of course, we want to be a rich country. We want to be a developed nation, 15,000 US dollars per capita. This is the challenge. So the issue is how do you get there? And this issue of disconnect. Some people are not part of this mainstream, yeah? In the villages, Sabah, Sarawak, for example. So that's a big challenge for us. So the question is, how do we become a rich nation, developed nation? Investment, the types of investments, the skills, education, going into research and development, design development, MRO, those kind of things. So for us in government, we have, between the two of us, myself and Idris, we've got this investment committee. We're tracking more and more these kind of jobs. That's very important. Because, I mean, the bottom line is, we want to be a rich nation by the year 2020, a developed nation, 15,000. So it is important for us to be more focused in ensuring that we become a rich nation by the year 2020. There are challenges. Number one, of course, we have states which are lagging behind. We have regions which are lagging behind. We have Sabah, Sarawak, Kelantan. So this is a big challenge. I mean, it doesn't make sense for Malaysia to be a developed nation if there is no inclusiveness. If some parts of the country, some regions in Malaysia, some states are left behind. So this, again, is another challenge. One is the challenge of raising the average income to 15,000. Perhaps a more challenging job for us is how to make sure the lagging states, Sabah, Sarawak, and Kelantan, and other parts of the country, move up in tandem with developments of the country. So we have to come up. I mean, this session is also about looking at some new ways of ensuring that, you know, we achieve this inclusiveness. Small, medium enterprises, of course, very important. We have 600,000 of them. We have to really transform them. We got to upgrade them, technology. So if you ask me, frankly, we have to work harder, small, medium enterprises. We have to work harder to ensure inclusiveness and getting Sabah, Sarawak, and other lagging regions of Malaysia to be part of the mainstream. That's a challenge. And this is, 2013 is behind us, but 2014, perhaps we should be moving more and more in the direction of how to ensure that there's inclusiveness in this development that we are experiencing in Malaysia. Thank you.
Of course, in the process of economic transformation, we also are faced in transforming the type of industries and that type of industries which actually attract to this country. If you look probably in the early 70s or late 60s, when industrialization first came to Malaysia, most of the industries which came here were actually very labor intensive, requiring very low skills. And at that point of economic development, probably that was appropriate because it actually gave opportunity for a lot of people to get jobs. And through that, actually income of families went up and it assisted. But at this point in time, I used to have these discussions with Dato Sri Mustapa while I was the HR minister. We were faced great problems with industries asking for lots and lots of foreign workers to be brought into this country because the nature of the industry was so labor dependent. So we said that I think Malaysia is not in a position anymore to actually entertain this kind of labor-dependent industries because, one, because we already have got shortage of labor, and number two, as our population skill sets and knowledge increases, then the type of industries which we actually attract to this country, we should be more knowledge and skill-based. So I think transformation of the investment and transformation of the type of industries which come into this country is also very important in actually enabling that Malaysians will get high value-added jobs and through that, of course, enjoy a higher level of lifestyle. And these will involve transformation. For example, the glove industries, they were very, very labor dependent one day, and we are one of the leading exporters of gloves in the world, and we were to actually continue with our competitiveness. It was an imperative need for the industry to automate, which they have done. And by so doing, they actually reduce the need for manpower and being able to actually manage their competitiveness. So that's the kind of transformation which we need.